What if I told you that the most successful people in the world failed not once, not twice, but over and over again? What if I told you that behind every victory is a mountain of rejection, pain, and doubt? You've been taught to fear failure, to avoid it, to see it as proof that you're not good enough. But what if we've been looking at failure all wrong? What if failure is not the opposite of success, but the very thing that creates it? Dale Carnegie once said, "Develop success from failures. Discouragement and failure are two of the surest stepping stones to success." And he was right, because discouragement is part of growth. Failure is part of mastery. And no one who ever achieved anything great did it without falling hard first. So why are we so afraid to fail? Why do we quit the moment things don't go perfectly? Maybe it's time to flip the script. In this video, we're going deep. We're going to unpack the real power of failure. We'll hear the stories of legends who turned their lowest moments into the spark that lit their future. We'll learn how to embrace rejection, how to grow from setbacks, and how to transform discouragement into determination. If you've ever felt like giving up, if you've ever thought, "I failed too much to succeed," this is for you. Because failure doesn't define you. What you do next does. Welcome to Success Through Failure. To understand why failure is essential to success, we have to understand a man who built an empire teaching that very lesson, Dale Carnegie. Today, his name is on bookshelves across the world. His words have inspired millions. But what most people don't know is that Dale Carnegie's success was built on years of struggle, poverty, rejection, and failure. He was born in 1888 in Maryville, Missouri, a poor farm boy raised in a time where survival came before dreams. His family struggled just to make ends meet. Carnegie wasn't born into wealth. He didn't have elite connections. And early on, nothing about his life said he was destined for greatness. After graduating from a small teacher's college, Dale took a job as a salesman, traveling from town to town selling lard, bacon, and soap. It was grueling, unfulfilling, and at times humiliating. He was rejected constantly, doors closed in his face. He slept in cheap boarding houses and ate what little he could afford. Eventually, he saved up a little money and moved to New York City, dreaming of becoming an actor. But that dream failed too. He ran out of money. He hit rock bottom. And in a moment of quiet reflection, he asked himself, "What do I really have to offer the world?" That question led him to something he had always been good at: speaking, helping people, encouraging others, teaching. In 1912, Dale Carnegie started teaching public speaking courses for ordinary people, salesmen, clerks, and housewives, people who had never stood in front of a crowd in their lives. But these weren't just about speaking. They were about courage, confidence, self-worth. He wasn't teaching people how to talk. He was teaching them how to believe in themselves, even after failure. From small rented classrooms, word spread. His students began to thrive. Carnegie became a pioneer in personal development long before self-help was a trend. He wrote books, gave lectures, and changed lives. And all of it, every single chapter, was shaped by the failures he had lived through. Dale Carnegie once said, "Develop success from failures." Discouragement and failure are two of the surest stepping stones to success. But he didn't write those words from comfort. He wrote them from experience. Carnegie wasn't celebrating failure. He wasn't telling people to aim for failure. What he was doing was revealing a truth most people miss, that failure refines us. It scrapes away our illusions. It destroys the false ego, and it builds something real, character. Think about it. When have you grown the most in life? Was it during your victories or your valleys? Was it when everything went right, or when everything seemed lost and you had to find your way back? Failure is the fire that forges the strong. Carnegie knew that. He didn't escape failure. He built his entire life out of it. And so his legacy lives on, not just in books, not just in courses, but in the millions of people who learned to face rejection, to arise again after falling, and to understand that failure is not final unless you stop. Dale Carnegie turned his failures into stepping stones, and now so can you, because the story of success always starts with how you handle failure. The psychology of failure. So far, we've heard from visionaries like Dale Carnegie, but now let's turn inward. Let's explore what actually happens when we fail, and more importantly, how we respond. 1. Why we fear failure. Our fear of failure isn't just psychological, it's evolutionary. When we fail, the brain's amygdala, our emotional alarm system, triggers the same response as real physical danger. Our heart spins faster, cortisol spikes, we feel shame, embarrassment, even pain. Science shows that our prehistoric ancestors avoided failure, or more dangerously, being excluded, because it could mean starvation or death. We carry that deep-seated fear today, even though missing a deadline or screwing up a presentation isn't life or death. 2. How failure affects the brain. But stress isn't always bad. In small doses, it helps us learn. When failure hits, it triggers a process called neuroplasticity, where the brain rewires itself based on experience. With each mistake, your brain scans the situation, pruning connections that didn't help and growing new ones that do. That's why it hurts in the moment, but grows your brain for the future. 3. Society's toxic view of perfectionism. Now here's the harsh part. Society doesn't just fear failure, it punishes it. We live in a culture obsessed with perfection. From report cards with big red X's to social media highlight reels, from stage success to relentless comparisons, failure is never shown as part of the journey. This pressure breeds a silent epidemic, perfectionism. People freeze, they don't try, and when they do fail, shame, guilt, anxiety. 4. Growth mindset versus fixed mindset. Carol Dweck. Here's where the tide can turn. Psychologist Carol Dweck gives us a roadmap with two mindsets, fixed and growth. A fixed mindset says, I'm either good at this or I'm not. Failure equals weakness. A growth mindset, by contrast, says, I'm not good yet. Failure equals feedback. It sees each stumble as a signal, not a sentence. Studies show that students and professionals who adopt a growth mindset actually perform better, engage more, and bounce back faster. 5. Why failure builds resilience, problem-solving, and creativity. When you allow yourself to fail but not give up, you unlock something powerful. Resilience. Each comeback strengthens your grit. You learn to stand up again and again. Problem solving. You're forced to pivot, analyze mistakes, try again, and often find a better way. Creativity. When options fail, you innovate. When your plan goes south, you dream up Plan B, even Plan Z. Some of humanity's greatest breakthroughs came not despite failure, but because of it. Like penicillin, discovered by accident after a failed experiment, or Post-it notes, invented from a useless adhesive, or Netflix, born from Blockbuster's refusal to adapt. 6. Interactive moment. Viewer engagement. Now, your turn. Here's a question just for you. What's one time you failed but came out stronger? No judgment here, only growth. Whatever your story, your experience matters. It might give hope to someone else feeling stuck, so don't hold back. Share it below. To fear failure is natural. To learn from it, that's choice. Choose to grow. Choose to adapt. Choose to turn every no into a push forward. Your mind is capable of more than you know once you give it the freedom to fail. Success stories born from failure. Every success we admire, every name etched into history, every product we use, every story we cherish was built not on luck, but on failure, on rejection, on collapse, on the word no, until someone dared to believe in their yes. Case Study 1. Thomas Edison. 10,000 failed experiments. Let's begin with the man who lit up the world, Thomas Edison. But before the light bulb came darkness, a lot of it. Edison tested over 10,000 different materials. Each one failed. His lab assistants begged him to stop. The media mocked him. But Edison famously replied, "I have not failed. I've just found 10,000 ways that won't work." It was failure that taught him what not to do, until one day he discovered what would. Basketball. Case Study 2. Michael Jordan, cut from the team. Next, we look at a name synonymous with greatness, Michael Jordan, a 6-time NBA champion, an icon, a billionaire. But rewind to high school, and he couldn't even make the varsity team. That failure crushed him. He locked himself in his room and cried. But then he trained, harder, longer, smarter. Years later, Jordan said, "I've missed more than 9,000 shots in my career. I've lost almost 300 games, and that is why I succeed." Failure didn't defeat him, it defined him. Art. Case Study 3. Walt Disney, fired for lack of creativity. Imagine being fired from a newspaper for not being creative enough. That's exactly what happened to Walt Disney. He was told he lacked imagination. Later, his first animation company went bankrupt. Investors walked out. People laughed at his silly mouse cartoon. But he kept dreaming. And today, that silly mouse, it's part of a multi-billion-dollar empire. Walt Disney once said, "All the adversity I've had in my life has strengthened me. It was the rejections that gave him resilience, and the failure that shaped the fantasy." Books. Case Study 4. J.K. Rowling. 12 publishers said no. She was broke, a single mother, living on welfare in Edinburgh, and all she had was a typewriter and a dream. J.K. Rowling sent her manuscript to 12 publishers, and every single one said no. Some didn't even respond. But one day, a small publisher took a chance. They printed 500 copies of Harry Potter and the Philosopher's Stone, and the rest is history. Today, her books have sold over 500 million copies. She became the world's first billionaire author. J.K. Rowling said, "Failure meant a stripping away of the inessential. It set me free. Without failure, there would be no Hogwarts, no Harry, no magic." Chicken. Case Study 5. Colonel Sanders. 1009 rejections. Most people don't try 1009 times, but Harlan Sanders did. Better known as Colonel Sanders, the founder of KFC. He was 65 years old, broke, living out of his car. He had a chicken recipe. That's it. He went from diner to diner trying to sell it. 1,009 people turned him down. But number 1,010 said yes. That yes built a global fried chicken empire. He once said, "I made a resolve then that I was going to amount to something if I could." He didn't retire. He reinvented. Edison failed. Jordan failed. Disney failed. Rowling failed. Sanders failed. So why do we fear it? Why do we believe that one rejection defines our worth? The truth is, failure is not the end. It's a rite of passage, a test, a teacher, and above all, a filter to separate the curious from the committed. So the next time you fail, don't say, "Why me?" Say, "What's this trying to teach me?" Because somewhere out there, your yes is waiting, and it only takes one. Turning discouragement into drive. You've felt it before, haven't you? That sinking feeling in your stomach. The silence after the email says, "We regret to inform you." The heartbreak of not getting the job, the call, the approval. That moment you think, what was the point of even trying? This is discouragement. It's not just disappointment. It's the whisper in your mind that says, maybe you're not meant for this. But I'm here to tell you, discouragement is not the end. It's the beginning. It's a signal, not a sentence. How to handle rejection. Rejection hurts, and that's okay. Let it hurt. You don't have to pretend to be strong right away. You don't have to slap on a fake smile and just move on. Rejection is personal. It pokes at our insecurities. It triggers old doubts. And worst of all, it makes us question our value. But here's the truth. Rejection doesn't mean you're not good. It means that that situation, at that moment, wasn't the right fit. Your story isn't over just because one chapter closed. How to process failure emotionally. Step 1 is simple. Feel it. Allow yourself to grieve the loss of the dream, the opportunity, the plan. Don't numb it. Don't bury it. Process it. You can journal. Talk to someone. Cry if you need to. Emotions are like waves. They rise and then they pass. But after you've felt it, it's time to flip it, to begin the shift from discouragement to drive. Actionable steps to bounce back after failure. So how do you bounce back after failure? How do you turn that sting into strength? Step 1. Reflect instead of react. Most people react. They rant, quit, blame, escape. But reflection is the superpower. Ask yourself, what actually happened? What was within my control? What did I expect versus what really occurred? This moves you out of victim mode and into growth mode. Step 2. Find the lesson. Every failure carries a seed of wisdom, but only if you're willing to look. Ask yourself, what can I do differently next time? What skill do I need to develop? What truth about myself did this experience reveal? The most powerful people in the world are learners, and learning always begins with failure. Reframe the story you tell yourself. We're all storytellers, especially when we talk to ourselves, but most of us tell the wrong story. After failure, your brain wants to say, "I'm not cut out for this. I'm always messing up. I'll never succeed." But what if you rewrote the narrative? What if you said, "I'm learning. That wasn't my time. I'm getting closer." Reframing is not lying to yourself. It's choosing a perspective that empowers you, not paralyzes you. Start again smarter. Now, take action. Not reckless action, informed action, based on the lessons, the new perspective, the clarity that failure gave you. Maybe you tweak your plan. Maybe you improve your skills. Maybe you shift your path entirely. You're not starting over. You're starting again, but smarter, stronger, and more prepared. Mini activity. Turn pain into power. Let's do something together right now. You don't need a fancy journal. Just grab a piece of paper or open your notes app. Ready? Step 1. Write down your latest failure. It could be big or small, a goal you didn't reach, a mistake you regret. Now, write 3 things you learned from it. Even in pain, there's power. Even in loss, there's learning. Even in defeat, there's direction. You've just taken the first step toward transforming failure into fuel. If you feel comfortable, drop your 3 lessons in the comments. Let others know they're not alone. We all fall, but we rise together. Comment your failure and what it taught you. Remember, discouragement is not weakness. It's part of the warrior's path. It means you tried. It means you cared. And now it means you're growing. The most successful people didn't avoid failure. They faced it, felt it, and used it. So can you. Principles from Dale Carnegie's teachings. By now, you know that failure is not the enemy. It's the beginning of transformation. And one of the earliest pioneers of that idea was Dale Carnegie. Carnegie didn't just teach communication, he taught courage. He didn't just show people how to win debates, he showed them how to win back their self-belief. At the heart of all his teachings was one clear truth. Fear of failure is the real thing holding people back, not lack of skill, talent, or intelligence. Carnegie's core idea, self-confidence, can be learned. Carnegie believed that confidence is not a gift, it's a muscle. And just like any muscle, it can be trained, built, and strengthened. He often said, "Inaction breeds doubt and fear. Action breeds confidence and courage." When we act, even in fear, we begin to change our relationship with failure. We stop seeing it as humiliation and start seeing it as a moment to rise. Confidence isn't pretending you're perfect. It's showing up, scars and all, and saying, "I'm still trying." Public speaking. To this day, it's still one of the greatest fears in the world. People would rather face spiders than speak in front of a room. But Carnegie knew that this fear wasn't about speaking, it was about failing publicly, messing up, forgetting words, looking foolish. So what did he do? He created safe spaces where people could fail and be encouraged, where mistakes were part of the process, not something to fear. And here's the result. Those who feared the stage the most often became its most powerful voices. Because once you faced that fear and failed and realized you survived, you become unstoppable. Book lessons from how to win friends and influence people. Carnegie's most famous work, How to Win Friends and Influence People, isn't just a guide to charming conversation. It's a roadmap to human connection, especially in the face of failure. Let's break down a few of his timeless lessons and how they relate to failure. A. Don't criticize, condemn, or complain. When we fail, we often direct our pain outward. We blame others, we complain, we criticize. But Carnegie taught that understanding creates growth, not blame. Failure is not a weapon, it's a mirror. Use it to examine yourself, not to attack others. B. Give honest and sincere appreciation. When someone stumbles, Carnegie believed in lifting them up. Even in failure, People are hungry for validation, not empty praise, but genuine recognition of effort. Appreciation creates safety, and safe people take more risks and grow faster. C. Talk in terms of the other person's interests. Carnegie knew that connection wasn't about being impressive, it was about being interested. When someone fails, they don't need lectures, they need empathy, someone to say, "I've been there." D. Let the other person save face. One of Carnegie's most compassionate teachings was this: let people keep their dignity even when they fail. Humiliation hardens people, but kindness during failure, that creates loyalty, leadership, and long-term growth. Leadership and failure. Great leaders own their mistakes. Carnegie didn't just teach everyday people. He taught business leaders, managers, politicians, and future presidents. And to every leader, he taught this: your greatness isn't in avoiding mistakes, it's in how you own them. He said, when you're wrong, admit it quickly and emphatically. Why? Because vulnerability earns trust, and trust is the heartbeat of leadership. A true leader doesn't say, "I've never failed." They say, "I failed, I learned, I got better, and now I can lead you better too." Carnegie didn't just teach communication, he taught courage. Courage to speak, even when your voice shakes. Courage to stand up after you have fallen. Courage to lead, not with ego, but with empathy. His lessons live on because they speak to something timeless, that in a world obsessed with perfection, it is humanness, honesty, and resilience that truly move people. Carnegie didn't make people perfect. He made people believe they were capable, even after they failed. Your failure equals your superpower. Take a deep breath. Close your eyes for a second and think back to the moment you failed. Maybe it was yesterday. Maybe it was years ago. Maybe it's still haunting you today. That moment, that gut-wrenching, tear-filled, soul-crushing moment. What if I told you that's not your weakness? That's your superpower. You are not your mistakes. Listen carefully. You are not your worst day. You are not that one decision, that one breakdown, that one misstep. You are not the failed business, not the broken relationship, not the exam you flunked, or the dream you had to delay. You are what you did after that. You are the choice to try again. You are the courage to show up bruised but not broken. Failure as identity versus failure as an event. There are two ways to view failure: as identity or as an event. If you say, "I am a failure," you stop growing. But if you say, "I experienced failure," you keep learning. Failure is not who you are. It's something that happened. It's data. It's feedback. It's a moment, not a life sentence. You're not stuck. You're still becoming. Rewriting your failure story. Let's do something radical. Let's rewrite the story you've been telling yourself. Maybe your inner voice says, "I always mess things up." Let's change that to, "I'm learning how to succeed." Maybe you've told yourself, "I missed my chance." Rewrite it as, "My next chance will be even greater, and I'll be ready." Every hero you've ever admired was once the underdog, the broken one, the doubted one. Your pain is part of your origin story, and you are still writing the ending. Long-term vision and patience. We live in a world that glorifies quick success, But true greatness takes time. You don't plant a seed and expect a tree overnight. You water it. You wait. You trust the unseen work beneath the soil. Your failure today may not make sense right now, but one day you'll look back and say, that was the moment that made me. So take the long view. Zoom out. This is not your finish line. This is just the first act. Fall in love with the process, not just the goal. We're trained to chase outcomes, to want the trophy, the title, the approval. But if your joy only lives in the result, you'll miss the magic in the journey. Fall in love with the process, with the sweat, the setbacks, the drafts, the do-overs. Because that's where the soul lives. That's where transformation happens. And ironically, when you fall in love with the process, the results begin to take care of themselves. If you failed, good. That means you're trying. That means you're alive. That means you're in the arena, not sitting in the cheap seats. So don't you dare shrink yourself down to your worst moment. You were made for more. You're still here. You've still got time. This is your comeback story. This is your second wind. This is your rise. Your failure isn't your curse. It's your calling. It's your superpower. Now go use it. Let's come back to the quote we started with. From Dale Carnegie, a man who spent his life helping others rise above fear. Develop success from failures. Discouragement and failure are two of the surest stepping stones to success. Not stepping around success, not stepping past it, but stepping through it, through failure, through discouragement. That's the real path forward. Final reflection. Strength through struggle. Dale Carnegie didn't become a legend because he was flawless. He became one because he understood something most people never do, that every setback is shaping your strength, that your worst days might actually be the days that wake you up. He built a movement not by giving people success, but by helping them grow the courage to pursue it. One awkward speech, one missed opportunity, one hard lesson at a time. That's his legacy. Not perfection, but progress. Encourage viewers to embrace their journey. Your journey won't look like anyone else's, and that's okay. It's not supposed to. Some of you are still in the middle of a mess. Some of you feel like giving up. Some of you failed today. But you're still breathing, still learning, still becoming. And that means your story isn't over. It's only getting started. So fall in love with your path. Fall in love with the setbacks. Fall in love with who you're becoming through it all. Call to action. Motivational and clear. Now, if this video spoke to something in you, don't just click away. Be part of the mission. Step 1. Comment. Drop a story of a failure you've had and what it taught you. Be real. Be raw. You never know who you might help just by sharing. Your voice could be the light someone else needs. Step 2. Like and subscribe. If this message lit a spark in you, hit like. And if you want weekly doses of real motivation, not sugar-coated fluff, click subscribe and join the community. We're building something here, a place where failure isn't judged, it's celebrated. Step 3. Explore Dale Carnegie's work. Want to go deeper into Dale Carnegie's teachings? We've linked his full audio book and a powerful personal growth course in the description. If today's video was the spark, that may be the fire that fuels your transformation. Remember this: your failure is not the end of your story. It's the proof that you're daring to live it. And no matter how many times you fall, we'll be right here, cheering you on every time you rise. Like this video, comment your breakthrough failure story, subscribe for weekly motivation, explore Carnegie's audiobook and course, link in the description. Success is getting up just one more time than you fall.